What is up, everybody, and welcome to the Casual Wrestling Community Show. I am your host, Notorious Nerdy D, and I am flying solo tonight. More on that in a minute. But each and every week, we talk about the best and worst in pro wrestling here on the show. Whether you are listening on podcast networks or watching on YouTube, make sure to like and leave us a comment on this episode. Tonight, we have another 7 questions to answer. But before we get to that, this will be a little bit of a shorter show. I have a hard out I have to get to in about 45 minutes. We are doing a fantasy football draft, so I don't have a lot of time to record this episode. It's been a weird week, lots of new things going on in our lives, so not a lot of time to prepare for this week, but I'll be back in the groove next week to give a full episode and give my full attention to the podcast. So this week we'll do 7 questions, but it might seem like I don't want to say I'm rushing, but we'll get as far as we can. Let's put it that way. We'll get as far into the 7 questions as we can, and we got that hard out in about 45 minutes. So Raw was extremely good this week. Once again, I have no problems with what Triple H is doing. I will be nitpicky because that's what I do. But overall, Raw has been extremely good. So my first question that I wrote down this week that I had to put on a topic board that I wanted to get to and I wanted to discuss was, has Triple H made Monday Night Raw matches too long for casual fans? And I think that the answer to this is a little bit of a double-edged sword. You can look at it from 2 different perspectives, but the truth is that no matter which side you look at this from, it comes back to the same answer every time. Yes, some of these matches on Monday Night Raw are getting excessive. They're becoming a little bit too long. Vince McMahon definitely erred on the side of almost like attention deficit and just needing fast match, fast ending, fast match, fast ending, backstage segment. And now Triple H is overcorrecting a little bit with matches that feel like they may be just a little bit too long. And I understand where Triple H is having to come from because Triple H inherited a 3-hour Monday Night Raw. So some of these matches getting this good amount of time, I get it because A, some of these guys actually deserve that amount of TV time, and B, what the fuck else are you going to put on Monday Night Raw when it's 3 hours long? More Omos? Are we going to get more? We've complained our way out of Omos. Now we're getting extremely long matches. And the one match in particular that I'm talking about is the Street Profits and the Alpha Academy. That match was 22 minutes long. I clocked it. I went back, rewatched it, clocked it, 22 minutes long. And then there was about 10 minutes of promo stuff wrapped around it. I get it. Like, we all love Kurt Angle. I'm a huge Street Profits fan. I'm a huge Alpha Academy fan. But it felt like that took a big chunk of the mid-card of Monday Night Raw for a match that, honestly, it wasn't building towards anything. It was kind of a feel-good moment. It was a Pittsburgh moment is what it was. It's, here's Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle's back. Let's build a story around him, and then let's do a 22-minute match to show off how good these guys are. And the guys are good. Street Profits are good. Alpha Academy are good. It's just a smidge too long for me. Too much repetitiveness. Not enough of what makes each team, and a little too much of the X's and O's. Some people may love that. There's a certain amount of people who may look at that and go, that's exactly what I've been missing. To me, a 20-minute match, a 20 to 30-minute match is reserved for the main event of Monday Night Raw and for premium live events. Other than that, the sweet spot for me is about 15 minutes. But I think that this is nitpicking because I definitely like these matches better than I liked the Vince McMahon, 5-7 minute matches that didn't mean anything, that were confusing to watch and pay attention to, that didn't build a story. At least these matches, they're matches we want to see. Here's the bigger issue at hand, I think. Monday Night Raw, and I say this week in and week out, but I'm doubling down on it this week. Monday Night Raw is too long. It's just too long. So I get it. I get why Triple H has to have matches like this, because you have to fill 3 hours and you can't put a bunch of garbage, and rather than just these segments that are short and they're not memorable, at least I remember what happened. I remember there was 22 minutes and 32 minutes total of the Street Profits and Alpha Academy and Kurt Angle. There's a disproportionate amount of time between the weekly hours of wrestling we get with 3 hours on Raw and 2 hours on SmackDown and the actual amount of time that we can pay off these matches and these stories on premium live events. Because right now, WWE is still doing the formula of using Monday night and Friday night to build up to premium live events. We're not getting many payoffs on SmackDown and on Raw. Like the 22 minute between Alpha Academy and Street Profits wasn't paying anything off. It was fan service. Clash at the Castle has 6 announced matches. There's 6 matches. 3 from SmackDown, 3 from Raw. That means that in the 3, 6, 9, 12 hours of Monday Night Raw wrestling, we're getting 3 payoffs. I understand how that's hard to book. It's hard to book when the amount of payoff you have doesn't equal the amount of hours you're having to fill on a weekly basis. When I watch SmackDown every week, I leave SmackDown feeling refreshed. I feel like I want more. I feel like I ate at a restaurant. I really like the food, and I'm going to want to go back, and I'm excited for next Friday to order the same thing and get more of that. A lot of times when I leave Monday Night Raw, I feel like I left a buffet. I feel like I was there way too long. I leave Monday Night Raw feeling fatigued, asking, like, where the fuck did Monday night go? I'm tired. This was a lot to process. There was a lot of wrestling. There was a lot of things that didn't really matter, but they were on TV because we have the time. And I get, like, we have to, it's advertising. It's fucking advertising. We have to have all this time to pay for, the commercials have to be jammed into the show. But if the 10 o'clock hour of Monday Night Raw is really what matters, if that's really what's important, then why don't we just stop at the 10 o'clock hour? And this is East Coast, based on East Coast time. If they talk about that, like Raw this last week did 2.2 million at the 10 o'clock hour, and then it dropped to 1.6 in the third hour. We've got to figure out a way to end the show at 10 and have something that's an encore following that, so that some people can check out. You can get out. Maybe do main event. Maybe do NXT. Do something different with that third hour. Do press conferences. Do recaps. Do something. But 3 hours of Monday Night Raw, it is killer. It is exhausting. I almost feel like there's times I feel like, and this doesn't work, but maybe you slide Raw an hour earlier and you lead into Raw with NXT. And you have the first hour of NXT on like YouTube or the network or something like that. And then you do the main chunk of NXT, that the last hour that would technically be the first hour of Raw right now, and have that lead into Raw so that you get an audience that kind of just flows through. And if you don't watch NXT, that's fine. If you do watch NXT, then you can have your 3 hours of wrestling. The problem is that Monday Night Raw, to me, it's like watching the Avengers movie every week. It's 3 hours long. That's a long time. Movies can't even captivate people for that long. It takes an Avengers Endgame type movie to get people's attention. But you can't keep casual fans' attention every week by filling it with 32-minute wrestling matches. You're going to lose. Triple H is going to fall off the other end, and he's going to lose a certain amount of people who go, well, Monday Night Raw, it's just too much. It's too long. Some of these matches are too long. He's got to find the sweet spot. He's got to tighten it up. You have a big enough roster where that 32-minute segment could hit 15 to 20 and be comfortable. Now, this is nitpicking. This is 100% nitpicking. I get this is nitpicking because I like this more than I liked the Vince McMahon era, but I have to have something to talk about. And the feelings that I leave Monday Night Raw with there were a couple matches that felt just a little bit too long. All right, my second question of the night. The second question I wrote down was, on a scale of 1 to 10, how surprised was everybody that Aaliyah and Raquel Rodriguez won the women's tag team tournament and it wasn't Io Sky and Dakota Kai? Let's be honest here. I was a 10. 10 out of 10. 10 surprised. And like the rest of the internet and probably the rest of you guys, I was kind of dumbfounded in the moment. I was like, what the fuck just happened? This is not what I expected to happen. Everything in my brain said that Triple H robbed us of that perfect moment to build up a dominant women's tag team division. I was frustrated in the moment, but then as normal, slept on it, woke up the next day, kind of let it settle in, put myself in Triple H's shoes and tried to think, what is the logic behind going this direction? If this is what everybody wanted, this is the first time it feels like Triple H just kind of said, I know what everybody wants, but let me show you why you need something else. And the logic in letting Raquel and Aaliyah have this moment, even though I still don't agree that it was the best moment, the logic in it has to be Triple H is playing the long game here. He's not going to rush into, he's not going to give us the meat and potatoes. He's going to give us an appetizer. And the problem is, though, for me, these belts have been treated like shit for so long. I don't know that I want an appetizer. I think I need you to prove to me, Triple H, immediately these belts matter. Put them on somebody that matters. Because I'm still not sold on Aaliyah. I am sold on Raquel Rodriguez. Raquel's going to be a star, but I'm not sold on Aaliyah. My belief is, I'm still under the belief that Sasha and Naomi are coming back. I don't know if it's in Cardiff. I don't know if it's a Clash of the Castle. I don't know if it's Monday Night Raw after. I've seen some wild-ass rumors swirling around about so many surprises that at this point, I don't know what to believe and what not to believe. But I think that Triple H's plan is to let Sasha and Naomi come back in the role of the heels, in the role of the bad guys, and let Raquel and Aaliyah play the baby faces moving forward. I laid it out a couple weeks ago, and I've laid it out for the last couple weeks, how I think this is obviously leading to Survivor Series. And I just wasn't sure how the teams were going to play out, but now I think it's pretty clear. This is one of your big Survivor Series matches taking shape. Team Bianca is going to be Bianca, Asuka, Alexa, Aaliyah, and Raquel Rodriguez, while Team Bayley is going to be Bayley, Io Sky, Dakota Kai, Sasha Banks, and Naomi. Raquel Rodriguez is a star in the making. I'm not going to argue that. I just don't get Aaliyah. I don't. They need to flesh out that character more to make me believe. I don't even understand them as a team. I don't get them as a team. Yeah, they wear the same colors, but other than that, there's not a lot of cohesiveness that makes it make sense besides the fact that they're just baby faces. And you've had time to build toward a theme with these two. Right now, the theme that I see is Aaliyah is basically there to make it look like it's always 2-on-1 when Raquel Rodriguez is in a tag team match. Aaliyah is there to get thrown out of the ring, hide under the apron until Raquel basically handles both of the members of the other team, and then Aaliyah can show back up and get some kind of sneaky pin or sneaky win. But that's kind of how I see it. But this is how when I put myself in Triple H's shoes, I almost see it has to work out like this. Now, probably won't, but I'm going to play Booker again anyway. Sasha and Naomi return. They claim to be the rightful champions. We're going to get that clash where they do that. They're going to feud with Raquel through Extreme Rules and in the build up to Survivor Series. I believe that they get the belts back at some point before Survivor Series. I'd like to believe that going into Survivor Series, Sasha and Naomi will have the belts. I think in that match, you could have Sasha and Naomi go into business for themselves and cost Bayley and her crew her match. So then you let the faces go over at the start of the feud. Then Sasha and Naomi take the belts. Then we get to the meat and potatoes, what we've been looking for. And after Survivor Series, we can go into what we really wanted, which was Io Sky and Dakota Kai ultimately in a feud with Sasha and Naomi. This is all contingent on the fact that Sasha and Naomi are actually coming back. But I think that by January, by day one, this is what we will have built up to. And if it all works out this way, I can understand. And I get what Triple H's logic was. I just think that I don't know that you have that much time to convince people that the women's tag team division, I don't know if it has that kind of longevity that people will continue to pay attention. I would not go with a lengthy title run for Raquel Rodriguez and Aaliyah. It's just not believable. There's too many other teams that make sense, that seem more dominant and more cohesive. That's the way I feel. Question number 3 tonight is, with all the rumors circulating that Triple H plans to make some changes to the WWE titles, which titles would I like to see changed, and which ones am I okay with, or which ones do I think are okay as is? This is something I've wanted to talk about for a long time. I am a design person. I do graphic design outside of this podcast. It's something that I've done for my business for a long time. So I like to believe I have a little insight on what makes clean designs and what doesn't. But to handle this straightforward, I'm just going to kind of run through the list of titles, the main ones on Raw and SmackDown, and I'll give my opinion on what I think should be done. Not going to take a lot of time with this, but we'll talk about it. And then you guys tell me what you guys think about these belts as well, because I'd be interested to hear. For the Universal title, this is where it gets tricky. We'll immediately jump into the Universal title and the WWE title. I understand there's some lineage problems here because the WWE title, I believe, tends to take the form of is it the World Heavyweight or is it the other way around? I don't know. What I want the Universal title to go back to the World Heavyweight title design, the big gold plate. You can leave the strap blue if you just have to. I don't think it should be because I think that represents SmackDown, and I think these belts should not be show dependent. I think we should go back to that big regal gold plate on that belt because I think that belt screams superior ultimate universe champion, king of the universe, can beat up any alien he can find. So you can update it a little bit, add some cool side plates, but let's face it, that belt just screams, I'm the fucking man when you're holding it. Like I can think of Goldberg holding it. I can think of Hulk Hogan holding it. I even have pictures of Mark Henry and guys like that holding that belt. And I love that big chunky design on that belt. So then when we go to the WWE title, keep that belt the way it is. Don't do anything to that belt. That belt is fine. It's got the modern WWE look. I think it's kind of synonymous at this point. People, they associate that belt with WWE. We've given it out to so many sports world champions and so many different special events that we have to have one belt that looks like that. And if I'm going to have one of the three colorways, we've had a red, we've had a blue version, and we've had a black version, keep the black. The black is the best looking of all those belts. Let's get rid of the colorways on these belts and let's just go back to either black or white straps on these belts, which leads me to the tag team belts. Set those motherfuckers on fire. Find a trash can, set them on fire, throw them in there, all 14 of them, because it's what it feels like the Usos are carrying around. Get rid of all of them. If we're going to unify them. If we're going to have two different sets of tag titles, do whatever you want, but let's get them looking more cohesive. These are the two belts to me, along with the women's tag team belt. These belts don't feel like they fit. They look old. They don't feel modern. They don't feel WWE to me. When I look at the NXT tag team titles, those scream WWE. They scream NXT. They scream modern. These pennies, because they look like pennies. They look like coins that are just on top of colored straps. They don't do it for me. And the same with the women's. And I would have liked to have seen the women's be the first one changed for when Raquel and Aaliyah won those belts. You could have introduced new belts. But I'd like to see just get rid of all of those belts, redesigned from the ground up, something brand new that just, big belts look nice. That big faceplate that WWE uses looks nice. Put it on every belt. It just makes a champion look like a champion. The IC title is next. I have no problems with the design of the IC title right now. In fact, I like it. I do like the IC title and the way it looks right now, but the problem is this is the one belt that is always kind of synonymous with classic wrestling. This is the one that feels like this is the wrestler's belt. This is the belt that should be on the guy that is the wrestler in the company. So this belt needs to be classic. Nothing wrong with the design it has now. It feels updated, it feels modern, but this is the one belt where I go, when I talk about the Intercontinental Championship, there's always one belt that pops into my mind. The classic white leather with the big plates. The Cody Rhodes belt is sometimes I refer to it, the one he brought back. That's the one. Let's just make that IC belt look like that. Let's keep that belt. Let's quit messing with it. It feels prestigious. So it doesn't need a lot. You can do slight redesigns are okay. Just little touches to bring it up to modern. You can put new side plates on it because WWE loves to sell the little circles with the logo. You can do all that, but let's go back to that classic design on the IC. As far as the United States title goes, leave it alone. There's times to me, that's the best looking belt in the business. in all of pro wrestling. To me, that's one of the best looking belts. May just be my opinion. I love the red, white, and blue. I love the big plate. I think when Bobby Lashley wears it, he looks like the fucking man. He looks like a champion. It screams champion. It makes whoever's holding that belt, it makes them seem important. It's just something about the look of it. Don't touch it. Leave it alone. That belt is good. When we talk about women's SmackDown and women's Raw belts, I don't see a problem with the way they are. Once again, those belts are kind of synonymous with the look of WWE. More importantly for me, I've talked about a women's mid-card belt, but let's not do a women's mid-card belt. You know what I would really like at this point? I would really like a women's Universal Championship. Let's go up. Let's not move backwards. Let's not make a smaller belt. Let's let the Raw and the SmackDown belt be the belt that gets everybody ready for the big title. We have titans in women's wrestling. We have Becky. We have Bianca. We have Sasha. We have Charlotte. Those people need to be fighting for something prestigious. The big crown. The big prize. So let's make a women's title belt that feels on the same level as the Universal Championship. Something that stands above these brand-specific belts. Because it's weird. When you have brand-specific belts, nobody can be the best. Whoever's SmackDown champion, whoever's Raw champion, they're kind of at an even playing field, and nobody feels better than the other. We need one title that can float back and forth, that can kind of be the title of supremacy in the women's division. And then last but not least here is the 24/7 title, which it seems basically like Triple H is done with anyway. I don't think he's officially thrown it in the trash. But if you want to excite wrestling fans, bring back the Hardcore Championship. Just redesign the Hardcore Championship. Take a current WWE title, smash it up, rearrange it, give it that hardcore title look, contest it under no DQ rules, and have a belt that you can let, it's for your comedic guys, your guys that don't quite fit the main event. That belt can be for those guys. And I think WWE has a big enough roster to support kind of a hardcore division. When they did that whole Raw Underground thing, they were on to something. There was something there. It got a little cheesy, but there was something there. I would like if they kind of took that same idea with a hardcore championship and built a separate division that felt like it was equal, just different. Like being the hardcore champion meant just as much as being the WWE champion. It's just different. You like a different set of rules. All right. The fourth question of this week is actually a write-in question. And it comes from an email from Clay in Topeka, Kansas. Clay said, Notorious, huge fan of the show, would love a shout out. Shout out to you, Clay. Why do you think that the WWE pulled back from the TV 14 rating on Raw and SmackDown? It's an easy question. Easy answer. They pulled back because they never had to change the rating to change the show. I think at some point they figured out whoever gives these ratings, if it's the FCC, if it's some other governing organization, whoever it is, whoever decides what your show is, they figured out quickly that person's either not watching or their leash was longer than they originally thought. The amount of cussing and profanity in WWE has increased. The focus on sexuality has increased, especially in NXT. Can't tell me it hasn't. When you look at groups like Toxic Attraction, who are literally built around the idea that they're getting a younger demographic of men to watch the show. They're talented women, don't get me wrong, but they're definitely, Nikita Lyons and these people are built to draw attention, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's been done in wrestling forever. There's nothing wrong with it. WWE was never looking to add blood. They didn't want to be AEW. And when someone bleeds in WWE, they can just claim it was an accident. It's super simple to go to this governing body and go, look, this is sports. People bump heads together. So even if they wanted to do a one-off match with blood, I think they can pass it off as an accident. I think WWE basically, when they started discussing this TV 14 thing, if you look at the product as like a radio dial, we were on level 5. WWE was at a 5. It wasn't just for kids, but it wasn't just for adults. I think someone said, we need to turn the dial. We don't want to turn it to 10. We don't want to go full AEW. AEW is a 10. But let's turn the dial to 7. And I think when they turned that dial to 7, nobody in these governing bodies thought, well, that doesn't change your rating. We don't need to change anything. We all of a sudden, Riddle saying fuck on Raw this last week, and they bleep it out, which I think, honestly, when you bleep things out, they're far more effective. They feel like it feels taboo. You weren't supposed to say that. It almost makes it seem like he broke the rules. He went outside of WWE, even though this shit's all scripted. This is all within what we do here. Pat McAfee pushes the boundaries all the time. He says funny shit. He cusses. I think he's even figured out when or the appropriate moments to do it to even be more effective, but he does it all the time. I think the WWE audience, casual and its hardcore audience, tend to be more excited by banned words. And by banned words, I mean Vince McMahon's kind of naughty word list, like wrestler and wrestling, belt and strap. I think Triple H letting wrestlers use those words has been more effective than them trying to be more provocative. I don't think that provocative content is what was missing from WWE. I think it was coherent booking and intensity. And all of a sudden, the Street Profits feel more intense. Drew McIntyre has stepped up the intensity. Riddle and Rollins have definitely stepped up their intensity. Kevin Owens stepped up the intensity. So I think, to kind of wrap it all up, I don't think when WWE toyed around with the idea of going TV 14, I think the product that you're seeing right now on TV, the things you're seeing with Riddle and Rollins, the way Kevin Owens has kind of stepped up a little bit, the little more profanity, a little more provocativeness, that was it. Like the product you're seeing right now is what they wanted to do at TV 14. The only problem is when they went to do this, they realized we don't have to change the little number in the corner. And don't get it twisted. The PG means something. There are a subset of people and parents who will frown upon the show if it changes. And I get, like, as adults, we all look at this as like, well, this product should be for us. That's not the way WWE views it. WWE is a global company. They view this product for kids while appealing to adults. And they feel like if they can push that boundary without actually stepping over that line, that is the most effective way for them to market their company. All right, question number 5 here. As a casual fan, do you enjoy the way Triple H is trying to blur the lines of reality and kayfabe? Do you enjoy the hidden clues in the backstage segments? Do you enjoy the fact that it seems you need to lock into the entire quote-unquote universe of WWE, NXT included, to get the full effect of these stories? Lots to unpack here, but this was an important question that I felt like we needed to talk about. This kind of boils down to Triple H. Is Triple H taking the casualness out of wrestling? I don't think so. I think he's doing a good job in this regard of balancing. You can just watch Monday Night Raw and be fine. You can just watch SmackDown and be fine. But if you watch everything, you're getting a little more information. You feel like you're privy to stuff that maybe you wouldn't know otherwise. Do I like that WWE is blurring the lines of reality with like pre-show fights spilling into the parking lot and social media segments? Yeah, fuck yeah. I love it. This element of pro wrestling has been there forever. It's just we kind of forgot it in the Vince McMahon era, and now all of a sudden it's brought back and it somehow feels fresh. It's not new. It's just Vince McMahon executed these kind of things poorly. Getting an alert on my phone. This is the world we live in, right? We get news updates. We get political updates. We get sports updates. So getting an alert on my phone 30 minutes before Monday Night Raw that Rollins and Riddle are in a fight backstage and popping it open, and it looks like some spectator has just taken a video. Whether it's real or not, that's gold. That's promotion at its finest, because I then scroll down Twitter and there's people arguing this couldn't be a real fight. There's referees breaking it up. And there's other people going, well, what if the referees just happened to be there? So you've got people arguing. You've got people talking 30 minutes before Raw goes onto the air. People are excited. Then you get these TikTok and Instagram videos, seeing Liv Morgan training with Riddle, learning jiu-jitsu in preparation for Shayna Baszler. That shit's awesome, man. It adds a level of credibility to Liv's character. I understand. You still have to suspend belief, because anybody who knows jiu-jitsu, anybody who knows real fighting knows you can't learn the amount of jiu-jitsu needed to fight Shayna Baszler in 1 week. But what it does for casual fans is it goes, oh, Liv's preparing. Liv's getting ready for this. It shows Liv's not helpless. It shows that there is training going on. There are things happening, and it just makes me look at Liv and go, I see character development. I see them at least trying to work this out. Still don't know if she wins, but at least when she gets in that ring, it's more believable because I know she's put in work for this moment. Then you get the Dexter Lumis stuff, right? It's been gold as well. The backstage clues. Every time there's a backstage segment now, I have to focus 50% of my attention on what's going on and 50% behind them to see if something's happening. This kidnapping thing going on with The Miz, the psychological game, the slow play of what's actually going on here has been great. This is the best example of storytelling and not rushing it. Giving us just a little taste each week, but we're excited to see it. The Miz is great. The Miz can sell this hysteria. The Miz can, I mean, you talk about the perfect guy to sell this story. It's The Miz. If you can't get Kevin Owens, because Kevin Owens is another guy who could do this, but fucking do what you're doing with Kevin, because that's just great. But The Miz is a guy who can sell this. Ciampa has exceeded everything I thought he could be in a comedic role, because he's walking the line of being a comedic guy and being a hardcore wrestler. But this story kind of just spilling over into NXT, spilling over into social media, spilling over into Monday Night Raw. It spilled over into NXT with Dexter Lumis showing up, writing a letter to Indy Hartwell, seemingly tying up those loose ends, then being arrested. They make mention to it on Monday Night Raw, but they don't show you anything. So the psychological game here is that there are a certain amount of people who left Raw, went and watched NXT to see what happened because they made mention of that. That's great marketing. I mean, that's all great marketing. With all this shit that Triple H is doing, he's got conspiracy theorists. Like Twitter is starting to, there's a subsection of Twitter that didn't exist as prevalent before, of conspiracy theorists breaking down every nuance of Monday Night Raw. There were technical difficulties during Raw. I believe during Dolph Ziggler and Bayley's entrance. The screen glitched like 2 times. Looked to me just to be like normal technical difficulties. But there are people on Twitter in the wrestling world who are claiming these glitches are in some way, they're connected to a return of Bray Wyatt. That's hardcore conspiracy shit. If Triple H is out here teasing Bray Wyatt's return with 2 like half-second glitches on just a Monday night, that's some next level shit if he's really doing that. I don't know that that's what it was. I mean, you guys tell me. Does anybody think that these glitches on Monday Night Raw were actually connected to Bray Wyatt? Because I don't know that I believe that. But if it is, look, all the way Triple H is building a universe. Don't get it twisted. Triple H right now, it looks to be that he's building out a universe like Star Wars or Marvel. He's starting to interconnect and interweave these shows. And with Worlds Collide, I think that NXT is about to get an upgrade, about to get a little bit of a change. And we saw a lot of WWE talent on NXT this last week leading into Worlds Collide. Triple H is up to something. He's flushing out a universe is what he's doing. All right, the 6th question of tonight is, so this is going to be, I'm reading what I wrote here. This is a reoccurring segment that we're going to be doing, and that is basically, I'm going to give my thoughts on AEW, but my thoughts are coming from a casual fan looking through the window, right? I'm not a hardcore watcher of AEW. I don't watch it every week. I try to keep up with it. I watch the things I like. I don't watch the things I don't like. Lately, there's been a lot less to like, it feels like to me. But I want to do a weekly segment. It'll probably always be question 6. Just where I kind of give, it's like a state of the union from a casual fan. The IWC is so connected to AEW, they can't give a fair perspective. I feel like I can give a fair perspective from a casual point of view. It doesn't mean I'm right. It's just a casual point of view. So my question this week is that I kind of want to talk about is, from outside looking in right now, I feel like AEW is a bit of a circus. And I'm going to start out by saying Sledge beat me to this. I saw Sledge make a video where he talked about what's going on with AEW, the state of AEW. And I promise I had written this down as a topic before I saw Sledge's video. And I in no way believe that I am more qualified to answer this than Sledge. Sledge has insider information. He does this. This is his world. So I'm talking about this from someone who sits their fat ass in the stands and watches it, not from inside. He understands the nuances. I only understand what I see. So if you want real information, go pay attention to what Sledge says, because Sledge has real information. I've watched Sledge wrestle. I watched him wrestle in Dallas during WrestleMania weekend, and he's fucking good at it. I mean, he's fucking great at it. He's phenomenal. Loved it. My kids loved it. I loved it. He's fucking good at what he does. So I have all the respect in the world for that guy. But I'm going to give you my perspective on AEW, and it's an eye test for me. From the outside looking in, it's a shit show. It's a circus right now. Like, what the fuck is going on? From just watching small segments, from keeping up, from reading news articles, the things I see and I put together, they don't make sense. And here, I'm going to go through a list of things that kind of hit my radar this last week. So this last week, I got sent a video. I got sent a video of Darby Allin jumping his car over his fucking house. Cool, I guess. Cool, right? I mean, Darby Allin's so fucking hardcore, bro. He's so hardcore. He's stupid if you ask me. You're jumping your car over your house. AEW fans, man, he's so hardcore. Dude's not making it to 40 years old. Darby Allin's not living to be 40. He jumped his car over a house and into a trailer. And like, look, cool. If you're going to do this, at least make it a promo video for All Out. Wrap the fucking car in All Out. Put a banner up. Do some shit that gets people hyped up for, like, it just feels like Darby Allin's doing this shit because he wants to do it. Darby Allin might need to decide whether he's Evil Knievel, Johnny Knoxville, or a pro wrestler. I don't know which it is, but it feels like pro wrestling may not be, AEW's not doing enough to keep Darby Allin from being fucking bored, so he's out here jumping cars. That's a circus. That's a circus. You tell me one time, name one time that you think a WWE wrestler is going to do some shit like this and the company is going to be like, no, that was okay. That was fine. Darby, I don't know, man. I don't know. It was just fucking insane. Then today I read an article. AEW's not renewing Bobby Fish's contract. What? What? These are the guys that you made big debuts. These guys that it's going to be a great show this week. I got a big surprise. It's Bobby Fish. Now we're not renewing contracts. So it is, we signed all these guys. These guys aren't happy, or these guys, you don't need them anymore. You used them. That feels like a shit show. That feels like a circus. Where's the same outrage for WWE when they cut ties? That feels like a real short contract. WWE has to let people go because they put them under decent contracts. If you only sign a guy for 6 months, it's easy not to renew that contract. But then we'll move on. Let's move on to this whole Eddie Kingston and Sammy Guevara. This whole shit that they've got going on. So you schedule a match for your biggest pay-per-view of the year, AEW All Out. And you cancel this match because Sammy Guevara went into the ring, cut a promo as a heel that hurt Eddie Kingston's feelings because he called him fat. You guys got to stop it, man. You AEW fans got to stop it. You got to quit this shit. Y'all can't keep telling me Eddie Kingston's a badass. Y'all can't keep saying Eddie Kingston will whoop my ass. Eddie Kingston's not whooping my ass. Eddie Kingston's a sensitive little boy. You're not a badass if you can't handle actually being fat and then being called fat. You're not a bad dude, man. Dude, you're fat. I'm fat. I don't go to the gym. Doesn't look like you go to the gym. Eddie Kingston is soft, man. He's soft. So then he walks to the back and apparently slaps the shit out of Sammy Guevara for calling him fat. It feels like to me every time somebody says something about Eddie Kingston, he takes it personally. Maybe just let it be part of the fucking story. But then Sammy Guevara doubles down and he pussies out and he goes and runs to the fans and says, I just said what the fans are thinking. I don't really think that. You guys shouldn't be fat shaming Eddie. What? You just did it. The fuck you talking about? Then he proceeds to go full bitch himself and say that the same fans who call Eddie fat are the same fans who say I'm too small. Like, why the fuck are you guys so concerned with what people are saying? Why are you so concerned with people's opinions? You guys, I mean, you're in AEW. You've made it to basically the top of wrestling besides WWE, and you guys are so worried about what the rest of the world is saying, and so worried if you look fat. Those aren't badass traits, man. Eddie Kingston's fat. Sammy Guevara's small. Overcome it. Eddie Kingston, you could go to the gym. You could get your fat ass in shape. Sammy, you could just become larger than life. I know I talk about guys being too small, but I also talk about guys who make themselves feel bigger than they are. And sometimes Sammy, he shows that he has that ability when he's jumping off fucking ladders and things like that. But every time you guys start to cry, it just sounds like little bitches, right? Circus. This is a circus. Nobody has their thumb on top of these people going, you don't say that thing. When you go to college, you're put into a media class. When you play sports in college, you're put into a media class. And in that media class, they teach you the things you should and shouldn't say. And you should do and shouldn't do. It feels like AEW needs to take that class. It feels like the guys need to take that class. But then we get this alert that Warner Media sent a message to AEW that they need to tone down the profanity in their shows. Wait, you mean Warner Media wants to make money and they're now telling you need to be more like WWE? Because that's all this is. Warner Media is looking at WWE. They're looking at Triple H. They're looking at a family or friendly product. And they're going, yeah, now that we've kind of revamped this company, we're going to need you to change what you're doing. So the big indie company is now being told, be less edgy. Be less provocative. That's circus, man. All these things that you guys fucking tell me is what makes you you. Now your parent company's telling you can't do that. Then you got things like FTR being cut from a video game. They're pissed off. You got Wardlow out bitching and complaining about his match with MJF. Like some people, there's just some things you shouldn't say. You can't tell me that you guys are that excited for the AEW All Out card. Like, I get the hardcore fans will say it, but like, there's no casual fan who's just super over about this card. No, it just doesn't exist. When I look at this card, let's be honest, from a casual fan's perspective, I'm not taking a second look at this. AEW Interim's World Championship, Tony Storm versus Britt Baker versus Jamie Hayter versus Hikaru Shida. Cool. Britt Baker should win. That's best for business. TBS Championship, Jade Cargill versus Athena. Nobody cares. AEW World Tag Team Championship, Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland versus The Acclaimed. I don't care. AEW World Trios Championship. It's the Dark Order versus the Elite. All right, cool. Still none of this is grabbing my attention as this is the biggest pay-per-view of the year. Casino ladder match will be fun. Jungle Boy versus Christian. I was interested for like 20 minutes and then they lost me. The only match that I really care about is Bryan Danielson and Chris Jericho. Yeah, I mean, look. Then you're going to get some form of CM Punk coming back and redeeming himself against Mox. It's not $49 for me. I'm not spending $49. There's better wrestling this weekend. There's better stuff to watch. I get it. There's fans that like both products. I'm not one of them. I respect both products. I know that there's a necessity for having both products. But right now, from a casual wrestling standpoint, from someone who has a limited amount of time to watch wrestling, this looks like a circus. That's all it looks like. And I'm afraid right now that Triple H smells blood. Triple H sees a wounded animal in AEW right now, and that's why he put Worlds Collide straight up against it. That's a no-lose situation. If they lose in the ratings horribly, it's NXT, man. It didn't matter. If for some fucking reason he makes any kind of dent in that AEW ratings, he gets to fucking tout it. Let me be clear, though. I don't want AEW to fail. I understand their purpose. I understand its necessity. It makes both companies better. Competition makes both companies better. But from the outside looking in, from the outside window looking in, this shit just looks like a circus to me. All right, that's my heart out, guys. I got to get out of here. I will make a separate video this week doing my predictions for Clash at the Castle and probably post that either tomorrow, later tomorrow, or it would have to be tomorrow. I'll post it tomorrow. But that has been another episode of the CWC Wrestling Podcast. Make sure to tune in every week on either YouTube or Spotify. And please follow us on TikTok if you don't already. Just search for Notorious Nerdy D. As always, I am the Notorious Nerdy D, and we're about to ring the final bell.